Welcome to VLearn. This is session 2 on part 2 of data storage management on the data protection, backup and restore. In this session we are going to cover topic reason for data loss, designing storage system for backup and recovery time project objective, that is in the short we called RTO, and recovery point objective in the short RPO, DAS and internal external DS backup. As in previous session we have already studied about the why data protection is needed and how can we protect the data, and so the basic about the meaning of the data protection that's we make on our data. So now the reason for the data loss, why we are protecting our data just because the data cannot be losses. So reason is what here behind the data should be protected here. So there are many reasons why corporation might lose important data, and they can be broken in some categories that are here: disaster, security breaches, accidents or unintended user action, and the system failure. That's a basic the reason to which you want to protect your data. About the disaster, I would like to tell you that there are some classic data loss scenario where like floods, earthquake, hurricanes and terrorists and destroy computer system basically, and these are data housed and on them. That's why while destroying this facility they are the captain. So all this disaster are unpredictable, and any time can be caused and you can lose your data, and may not have to forecast. The goal of the data protection is to create an environment that shield against all types of disaster here. So what makes this difficult is that hard to predict and what type of the disaster to guard against, and it's too costly to guard against all of them. So many of the companies guard against a disaster most likely to occur here. Now the next one was discussing about the security branches. That's about these are integrated branches in the network, server or storage defense server company. But he usually has one of the three goals basically: to look of the information that should not look at to that deny the company, and you can use its idea for or to damage and to destroy data. That because the harm is intentional and intruder that can do more selective damage that aim to long term basically. Next is here the accident or unintended user action. That I hope you very clearly accidentally means data can be lost by one of most common data loss scenario, like an user often are the culprits and delete, overwrite and misplace critical file or an email. So even without knowing they have done so. Next was the system failure, that is often caused by data loss, and the most famous type of failure is the hard drive crash. That although hard drive didn't fail, with the frequency then that they are used to failure are still major problem for many system administrator here. So next is I hope this reason very clear to you why we call the data can be lost when we need to protect the data. And next is about designing storage system for backup and recovery. We are protecting our data, so how designing will we make for data for protecting our data, and to how we can make easy to recover. The storage system must be designed with backup. Whenever you are making something new, it's very necessary to as well as you make it side by side some backup through which you can recover your data in some accident case. That recovery in your mind, you can also say that sometimes I know what I am writing here. You always remember that points. That is storing in your mind. That's your mind sometimes also can be a backup. So all too often they are to prime the storage system, and this has led to the number of problems including. Next one you can say inadequate backup capacity for the amount of data storage. Here a constant problem basically is needed to be match backup capacity, that with the amount of potential disk storage, and this too much data of the available media storage capacity, so this lead to failed backup or the data being left unprotected. If the backup too long, that classic point of the pain for the IT department, that is the time is to take backup to complete. If backup take too long, the backup will exceed their backup window. So overlong backup affect system running during working days or keep system from running at all. Next are the point here. Critical data is not safe. Critical data is not safe means here that's unimportant data is to compensate. Need to something not is too much important. For limited backup capacity they may be required. Not all the data is to backup here. Next, about the backup gets copied over by accident. That's how it could be the simple and disabling of media by, and perhaps a system administrators don't have to write tape when performing backup and choose to use another one. Backup media is old and in poor condition. That's why we say that backup is too old and in poor condition. That's here the reason old and poor condition, because nothing is indestructible. That's why all media wear out over time here. Next, it's hard to recover just one piece of data. Here we want to see that hard to recover this piece of data means that's backup software is very good, but copying large amount of data and destroying out at once is to be somewhat difficult. Next we are going to about the recovery time objective, that is RTO and RPO. When designing backup system, two important metrics must be considered, that is the RTO and RPO. RTO is basically the amount of time that the system must be up and running after a disaster, and enterprise data center, the RTO is matter of few hours to mere minutes. That's it's very clear to you. Something is the accident that is caused some data to be damaged here. Then maybe here is given that RTO, that recovery point is here. That is time for system that is to be running after the disaster here. And the enterprise data center hand that use the RTO, that is recovery time objective, that matter how much hour and the minute it take to recover the data. And about I say the RPO, that is the point in time to which data must be restored. Data is required for protection that we need to restore. Then an RPO may require the data to be restored up until 1 hour before the failure. There is very necessary to be 1 hour before the failure. For example, in this situation it may be acceptable to restore data for close of business the previous day. I hope it will be very clear to you about it. Here the more in front of you, that's written that balance RTO, that cost typically form the basis of many disaster recovery strategies. The vast majority of business, exceptionally small business, they have not thought enough about this concept and how RTO and RPO affect their business function. Next we discuss about DAS. Here DAS means direct attached storage. In the direct attached storage, there is some given here that graph shows where the founder that scenario analysis with the storage input output we can make here, and discuss about direct attached storage today, from what it is and how it works to how it evolving. And GAC also talk about vendors that are offering DAS product for small and to mid-sized business. Basically the best practices for the selecting DAS product and its performance. Some advantages of here about the internal DAS, that is the easy to build, configure and manage. Also, it doesn't create network congestion problem because no data is being sent over the LAN. Internal backups are self-contained and have less chance of being interrupted by the force outside the server. So that's why it's basically we use here about DS, and DS protect for small mid-sized business, and best practices for the selecting product and performance here. And you know that when amount of data become large for the backup storage, load become disruptive. It's important to look at about its external DS solution, where the architecture type we can see backup unit is the mounted in the on classes. So external to the computer being backup and attached by a cable. So there is a backup. Backup unit that has own processor in the memory. So it's immediately take protection portion of the load of and computer resources and become some input-output offload to the backup unit. I hope it will be very clear to know about the DAS, direct attached storage. And the next we are going to discuss more about internal external, that somewhat about I told you. Storage system is design backup recovery in the mind, so it's two of one. They are altered primary storage system that lead to the number of problems including here inadequate backup capacity, amount of data storage, and constant problem need to backup capacity with the amount of potential disk storage. So often there is too much data for the available media storage capacity that can lead failed backup and the data being left unprotected. Recovery takes too long. It is automatic, that restore operation take much longer than backups. Unfortunately, restore is always something that you need to quickly as possible. This is the exercise that I hope you can do it by yourself. It's about to explain the effect of the lost data on the business operation. You know, we have studied about it, so I hope you can really clearly to explain about the effect of loss of data on business operation. And the next one is about explain different backup and the method. That's we have already discussed. I hope it will be very clear to you. This is all about into this session. Now we are winding up here. Thank you so much. Happy learning. We learn.